Perfidia, a far-left revolutionary group member known as French 75, is watching an immigrant detention center. Later, she gathers with other members to strategize their mission. Perfidia has a personal conversation with a fellow member named Pat, who goes by the nickname Ghetto. She reminds him of his task to create a distraction by causing an explosion. As dusk falls, the members stealthily enter the immigrant detention center. One faction captures the soldiers while the other assists the immigrants. Perfidia approaches the commanding officer, Lockjaw, in his office. She begins by outlining her group's mission and objectives. To humiliate him, she forces him to become aroused. Then, she ties his hands and drags him outside. Meanwhile, others are aiding the immigrants in their escape via truck. Pat ignites the fireworks. Perfidia informs Lockjaw that they are declaring war on him and places him alongside the other captured soldiers. They manage to escape, exhilarated by their successful operation. Perfidia and Pat share a kiss. The group then escalates their actions by bombing the offices of politicians, banks, and grids. Amidst this chaos, Perfidia and Pat begin a romantic relationship. Following that night, Lockjaw develops an obsession with Perfidia. He watches her closely and feels anger seeing her with Pat. One day, while the group attempts to plant a bomb, Lockjaw captures Perfidia. However, he offers her a deal. She can continue her explosive activities, but only if she agrees to meet him at a motel. Later that day, Perfidia meets him, and they engage in a passionate encounter. A few months later, Perfidia is pregnant, yet she maintains her current lifestyle, which worries Pat. She gives birth to the baby. Perfidia starts to feel overlooked, and Pat expresses a desire for them to settle down and raise their family. However, she declines and persists with her revolutionary pursuits. One day, Pat runs into Lockjaw at the supermarket. He inquires about his child, and Pat reveals they have a baby girl named Charlene. Lockjaw says that it is a black girl's name. One day, the group is robbing a bank when Perfidia shoots a security guard. They all jump into cars to make their escape. A thrilling car chase ensues, but Perfidia's vehicle crashes, forcing them to flee on foot. Unfortunately, the police catch up to her and take her into custody. While in captivity, Perfidia is approached by Lockjaw, who offers to help her avoid jail in exchange for information about the key members of her group. Meanwhile, Pat is on the run, and a fellow member named Howard hands him a device. He explains that when the device is closed, it will play a tune, indicating that the person holding it can be fully trusted. Howard also provides him with a coded message for communication, instructing him to memorize it and then burn it. Pat is prepared to leave with his daughter, planning to hide in the sanctuary city of Bacton Cross. Perfidia divulges details about her group members, leading to her placement in the Witness Protection Program. Lockjaw begins tracking down her former comrades, successfully taking many of them out. He receives recognition for dismantling the group, known as French 75. When he goes to see Perfidia, he discovers that she has managed to escape. Fast forward 16 years, Charlene has matured and is now living under the name Willia Ferguson. She is training in karate with her sensei, Sergio. Pat has adopted the name Bob Ferguson and has become a stoner, increasingly paranoid about everything around him. Lockjaw has risen in his profession, and one day he receives an invitation to join a white supremacist group called the Christmas Adventure Club. He meets with them, and their leader, Virgil, inquires about his past, as they require a thorough background check. If any discrepancies arise, they will terminate his membership application. They question him about any interracial relationships he may have had, to which he responds with a denial. Howard has now gone off-grid and is secretly managing the French 75 group. One day, Avanti, a bounty hunter, captures him and takes him away. A group of kids, witnessing this, rush to his room to inform everyone that Howard has been taken. Avanti transports him to a military facility where he is interrogated about baby Charlene's location. Since he refuses to divulge any information, they threaten his sister's life, forcing him to leak the details. This information is then passed on to Lockjaw, who prepares his team for a mission to Bacton Cross to apprehend two high-value targets, Bob and Willia Ferguson. Upon arriving in the city, they receive an additional task to raid a drug distribution center to provide cover for their operation. Willia feels a bit annoyed with her father due to his constant smoking and paranoia. She is heading to the school dance, where Bob acts somewhat rudely towards her friends. They then set off for the dance. She is enjoying the dance and goes to the washroom. In the school washroom, her device suddenly starts tuning in. Deandra, a fellow member of the French 75 group, appears. She first delivers their coded message, and Willa responds correctly. Deandra informs her that there's an SOS message and they need to leave at once. She knew Willa's parents and was someone she could trust completely. They escape the school just as ICE begins to raid it, with soldiers lining up the kids in search of Willa. Meanwhile, Bob is getting high at home. He receives a call where they communicate in code and await his response. However, being high, he struggles to remember the code. Nevertheless, he concentrates hard and manages to recall it. They send him a coded message informing him that Howard has been captured and that Lockjaw is coming to their city. They have already secured Willa and plan to meet him at the rendezvous point. Unfortunately, Bob can't remember where that is, and just as he is about to ask, the call disconnects. Lockjaw and his crew burst into his home. However, he is already making his escape through the tunnel below. While searching the house, they discover the tunnel. Concerned about potential traps, they decide to throw smoke grenades inside. Bob manages to slip away just before the smoke engulfs the area. He then uses a payphone to reach out to the members of the underground French 75. He inquires about the rendezvous point, but they ask him for the time. Unfortunately, he can't recall. He attempts to explain his predicament and requests their understanding. However, the man insists that he won't provide any information without the code. ICE agents are conducting raids throughout the town. Bob arrives at the office of Willa's karate instructor, Sergio. He searches for a gun in his house. Sergio is a prominent figure in the city's undocumented community and is well-versed in local happenings. He informs Bob that they need to leave and that he will arrange a gun for him. In the car, Bob shares everything with him. Sergio suggests that Bob should call her, but Bob explains that she doesn't have a phone because it's too dangerous. Sergio then reveals that she has a secret phone. Meanwhile, the agents are questioning children about Willa's location, but none have any information. When asked if she has a phone, they reply that she doesn't, as her father is overly cautious and forbids it. Deandra asks Willa if she knows about Lockjaw. Willa confirms that her father told her he is the one responsible for her mother's death. The city is in turmoil as residents protest against ICE. A group of skaters approaches Sergio's car, and he explains the situation to them. He then takes Bob to his shop, where he looks for a charger for his phone. He outlines the next steps for everyone. They proceed to the undocumented individuals they are sheltering and inform them that they need to leave, assuring them that a safe passage has been arranged for their escape. Sergio brings Bob into his home and begins introducing him to everyone. He heads to a room to charge his phone. He calls the French 75 to inquire about the rendezvous point. However, he receives the same response. What time is it? Unable to recall, he quickly finds himself in a dispute with the person on the other end. Meanwhile, Sergio is getting everything ready for their escape. They access an underground tunnel to move the families through it. Suddenly, ICE agents knock on their shop door. Spotting them, a child bolts from the scene. The person inside breaks down the door. Frustrated, Bob requests to speak with his supervisor. When the supervisor answers, it turns out to be someone he knows. The supervisor asks a personal question, which Bob answers correctly. He then discloses that the rendezvous point is the sister of Brave Beaver. Bob instructs the man to provide the exact location and apologizes. Just then, the ICE agents force their way into the shop. The man gives Bob the location and apologizes again, still upset with him, and asks what the answer to what time is. Bob then reveals time doesn't exist, and yet it controls us anyway. This infuriates Bob. Sergio enters and insists they must leave as the agents are closing in. He guides Bob to the corridor and instructs his students to take him to a safe place, also handing him a gun. Together, they escape through the tunnel. As the agents enter, the students lead Bob to the rooftop. At the school, the agents are interrogating the students, but fail to extract any valuable information. They decide to arrest them. However, one student breaks under pressure and reveals the existence of Willa's secret phone. In the car, Willa's phone begins to ring, causing Deandra to become furious. She demands Willa hand over the phone, which Willa then throws away. Lockjaw is notified of the last known location of Willa's phone. The students are seen chasing Bob as he runs across the rooftop. However, while attempting to jump, Bob falls off. He tries to escape, but the police mock him, believing he is one of the protesters. The students notify Sergio that Bob has been captured by the police, but luckily, they have his gun. Deandra and Willa arrive at the location of Sisters of Brave Beaver. Deandra reveals that she is Perfidia's daughter and is looking for her protection. The head nun, Rochelle, is taken aback by her presence. She informs Deandra that her mother was a traitor, so they will be keeping a close watch on her. A nun escorts her to her room. Deandra and Rochelle engage in conversation, reminiscing about their past experiences. Tim Smith, a member of the Christmas Adventure Club, gathers with other club members. Virgil informs him of a problem they are facing and requests his help. Another member, Bill, mentions that they have discovered information indicating that Lockjaw has a child with a black woman. During a background check, they uncover a classified file where a former French 75 member, Jumble Passy, had informed an officer about this situation 15 years ago. Unfortunately, that member has been deceased for a long time, so they cannot verify the information. Recently, Lockjaw has hired a bounty hunter to track down ex-French 75 member Howard, who now assists immigrants in crossing the border and finding jobs in their sanctuary city. Lockjaw has taken his task force to the city and raided a chicken farm, suspecting illegal activities. The farm belongs to one of their members, and he wants his worker back. He also conducted a raid on the local area, causing chaos throughout the city. Tim realizes that Lockjaw is searching for his mixed-race child. He inquires about the child's mother. They present him with Perfidia's file, revealing that Lockjaw was the arresting officer. She has entered the witness protection program and has since fled, likely to Cuba or Algeria. Roy, their leader, informs Tim that he needs to resolve this issue for them. Tim acknowledges his responsibilities and takes his leave. Willa is training with the nuns. She feels a bit upset after discovering her mother's secret. She inquires with Deandra if her mother was truly a rat, and Deandra confirms it. Bob is in police custody, behaving like a junkie, and the police are preparing to screen him. He provided them with a false name, and a nurse comes to check on him. She unexpectedly calls him Bob and asks if he is diabetic and whether he has taken his insulin. Bob realizes what she means and replies no. The nurse informs the officer that he needs to be taken to the ER. At the hospital, a nurse approaches him. She frees him and tells him a way he can escape. After she departs, Bob makes his escape, and, as he comes down, he spots Sergio waiting for him. He tells Sergio that they need to head to the location of the Brave Beaver Sisters. Lockjaw is integrating a man at a nearby roadside shop. The man mentions he saw a van heading towards the hills with a black girl. He questions what's in those hills. The man explains that a group of nuns who grow weed resides there. Deandra and Willa are sitting together when they hear a noise, prompting Deandra to investigate. Suddenly, agents burst in and arrest Willa. They take her to Lockjaw, where she sees that all the nuns are being detained. They position her in front of Lockjaw, who orders him to leave her alone. He then asks her to step closer and examines her closely. He places her in a chair and retrieves a DNA testing kit. He collects a DNA sample from her mouth and takes his own. He places both samples in the machine and prepares for the test. He tells her that if the results don't match, she is free to go, but if they do match, they will have a problem. While they await the results, he asks her age and if she has a boyfriend, but she remains silent. In a different room, an agent is questioning Deandra about Pat's whereabouts, but she insists she doesn't know. Willa inquires of Lockjaw whether he forced on her mother or genuinely cared for her. Lockjaw responds by asking if she believes he is her father. She replies that it doesn't matter what the outcome is. She already has a father, and it's not him. He seizes her and tells her she should apply more makeup to appear presentable. They engage in a heated argument, and he labels her a smart mouth just like her mother. He checks the results, which show a straight line, indicating a positive outcome. He then gathers his belongings and prepares to leave. Meanwhile, Bob and Sergio are in a vehicle when a police officer begins to tail them and commands them stop. Sergio instructs Bob to jump off the car. Bob positions himself by the window to jump out, but fear holds him back. As the car moves, he tumbles out. He ducks down as the police car drives by. Then, he hotwires another vehicle and heads towards the hills. He secures an elevated position to observe the area from afar. Lockjaw arrives to take her, and she attempts to flee, but Lockjaw catches her and forcefully drags her away. Bob watches the agent's movements from a distance with a sniper rifle. He notices Lockjaw placing Willa in the car. He attempts to shoot Lockjaw, but misses, and Lockjaw enters the car and departs. The soldier prepares and fires in his direction. He dodges the bullets, gets back into the car, and drives away. He is attempting to follow Lockjaw's vehicle. Inside the car, Lockjaw mentions that her mother was a stunning witch. However, Willa insists that she was a rat. Lockjaw argues that her mother was a woman who fought for her freedom. Yet, Willa continues to assert that she was a rat. In a fit of anger, he tries to strike her but pauses, realizing he should honor her parents. He then takes her to Avani, the bounty hunter, explaining that he needs to eliminate her. He claims she is a troublesome kid involved with a cartel, and that no one would care if she disappeared. Avani, however, declines to take on kids, even when offered double the payment. Instead, he suggests taking her to a militia group, which Avani agrees to. He attempts to escort her out, but she struggles to escape. He forcefully shoves her into his car. Meanwhile, Bob has lost track of the car and asks some local men for directions, who point him in the right direction. Sergio is apprehended by the police while pretending to be intoxicated. When questioned about what he discarded from the vehicle, he claims it was just trash. Willa is attempting to break down the door. Avani inquires if anyone will come looking for her. She replies affirmatively, stating that when they find her, they will make him pay. Lockjaw is driving when another car pulls up alongside him, asking him to lower the window. As he complies, the other driver pulls out a gun and shoots him. The car crashes off the side of the road. Avanti delivers Willa to the militia, stating it's from Lockjaw. He ties her to a chair and hands the key to the caretaker, then calls someone to come. Tim ensures that Lockjaw is taken care of and leaves. Bob, while searching for the car, discovers it has crashed. Willa notices two men arriving on a bike and gets a boat ready. They enter, while Avani observes them from his car. He exits the vehicle with a gun in hand. He retrieves the key and releases Willa, then shoots the caretaker. After that, he heads inside to deal with the others. Willa, in a panic, hides behind the car. She then climbs into the car to escape. However, she realizes she doesn't have a key. Bob inspects Lockjaw's wrecked car, but doesn't find Willa. He pulls out his device and shouts the code message, urging Willa to come out. Realizing she isn't there, he returns to his car. Willa retrieves Avani's gun and approaches the house. She discovers that everyone is dead. Taking the key from Avani, she starts the car and makes her escape. As she drives down the road, she notices a car tailing her. It's Tim, who is caught up. She takes the uphill road and stops the car in a blind spot. Exiting the vehicle, she hides beside the road, gun aimed. Tim, driving up the hill, crashes into her car. Willa aims her gun at the door. When Tim steps out, she yells the coded message. Tim, confused, asks what? Willa shoots him down. A few minutes later, Bob arrives as well. He pulls out the machine and calls for Willa, but she still has her gun trained on him and demands the coded message. Bob responds, revealing he is her father. They embrace, and Bob takes his daughter away from there. Unexpectedly, Lockjaw is still alive and battered, strolling down the street. After a while, he encounters the Christmas Adventure Club. They ask him about Perfidia and whether he has interacted with her in any manner. Lockjaw, now sporting a disfigured face, recounts that he has faced numerous foes in combat, and on one occasion, he was compromised. A woman dragged him into a confrontation. He suspects that the woman was a sperm thief. Virgil questions their motives. Lockjaw speculates that they likely covet his formidable mind and physique. Lockjaw has officially joined the Christmas Adventure Club. One of the members guides him to his office. Once he departs, Lockjaw takes a seat there with pride. Shortly after, he detects gas seeping from above. He then drifts off to sleep for the remainder of his life. Some individuals in hazmat suits arrive, retrieve his body, and proceed to cremate it. Bob informs his daughter that her mother has sent her some letters. However, he withheld them from her in an effort to shield her. Now, he believes it's the right moment and hands her the letter. As she reads it, her mother expresses uncertainty about how they ended up in their current situation, inquiring about her well-being. She admits to feeling weak. She attempted to change the world, but was unsuccessful. Yet, she holds hope that she can still make the world a better place. When the time is right, they will reunite. After finishing the letter, she embraces her father. Bob now possesses a phone, and Willa is teaching him how to operate it. Suddenly, a radio announcement interrupts, reporting a protest in Oakland, and with her father's encouragement, she sets off to participate. So, that was the recap of the 2025 film One Battle After Another. For more recaps like this, stay subscribed to the channel. And if you have liked this video, you may also like this.